Good evening mga kalaro and welcome to the Council of Titos, the show on the Laro-Laro lang channel where Sport Titos talk about a different kind of game, the reality TV show and social experiment that has run for over 2 decades, Survivor. I am Chief Bisdak Joel Parcon, and with me as always is Vice Chief Bisdak Jao Atienza. What's up, Jao? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I made a burger. I ground beef, whatever. Like, it's not Applebee's, but I can tell you that it was big, it was emotional, and it was home.
There you go. It was big, it's emotional, it was home. Then that just gives you a taste of what we're going to talk about today for this episode. Wow, that was it was emotional. Was it home? We'll find out. On this episode of the Council of Titos, we are giving our thoughts about the merge question mark episode of Survivor season 42. It was entitled "You Can't Hide on Survivor / The Devil You Do, The Devil You Don't." The council is going to give their highlights and lowlights for the episode or episodes, since it was a 2-hour episode, as well as their thoughts and predictions for the upcoming episodes. And let me just start it off by saying this was wow. This was a wow 2-hour episode that we got. What have you got for your highs for this one, Joe?
A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
Well, first off, the 2-hour episode, I like that it was a 2-hour episode. Like, they didn't have a silly cliffhanger. You know, sort of looking at the lows a little bit. The hourglass, like it's the hourglass was still in balance. It was still a very obvious choice for Roxroy, but it was a high that we didn't have a cliffhanger for something that was fairly obvious.
True.
Right. So, the 2-hour episode meant that we didn't have a cliffhanger, but also it gave us a lot of great like character moments, a lot of that personal content. That's what they call it, like personal content, and we got to see the characters develop a little bit more. There was space.
Yeah.
There was space for the cast to like shine.
Yeah.
And we got to see all of the pieces fall into place for the eventual vote out. So it didn't feel so fast, and we didn't say have to purple an entire tribe to tell a story because there was the space for it to breathe. Yeah.
Yes, not just that. Yeah, the space. I'm not quite sure, but one thing that really is notable for me are were those shots where you would have all of them. They don't have a name yet, right? The merged tribe doesn't have a name yet. But the new tribe, well, during the pre-merge thing, after the pre-merge reward challenge, we had those shots of them just hanging out at the beach, bonding, and a lot of bonds were formed during that session where they were just all sitting down at the beach, right?
Yeah.
Well, one bond in particular that was really touching. Actually, I have two. The one of them is the bond that was formed between Jonathan and Mike, and
Yeah.
I mean it was so. I would say it's hard to say cute when you're describing the two of those men, but that moment between the two of them was very cute. Like, okay, here's Jonathan, big dude, like wants to break the stereotype that he's just a beefcake, and then Mike comes up, talks to him and tells him, you know what, I also had to go through a similar thing, right? People thought that he was just some dumb muscle, and then he had to go get past it back in his younger years, right? And I'm assuming a little bit even during his days in the tribe, right? In the Green Tribe. And it was I could find no other way to describe that moment but cute. It was cute that those big dudes were bonding over shared experience.
Yeah.
And then another one. Yeah,
well,
go ahead.
To that point, it's kind of rare. I would think, in Survivor to see that sort of moment of like two big dudes having a shared moment of big dudeness
Mhm.
in a tender moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Because usually when
Like,
you have like big dudes, they'd be like, bro, it the machismo, the testosterone would be pouring all over. But this one, it was about trying to break the stereotype, trying to break
yeah,
the perception of them being just beefcakes. Right?
yeah. And even I'm going to say that even the producers of the show, like the editors of Survivor, have difficulty with Mike, because
Why
like
so? Why do you say so?
if we remember the first half of the season, some of the editing, and maybe this is just sort of setting us up to see a transformation or whatever, but a lot of the editing felt like they were editing him to be an idiot,
Yes, yes.
right? Like losing the
Sharing it with the
idol,
people he shouldn't have shared it
sharing.
with. Yeah.
What was it? There was one moment when Drea got the beware advantage. She
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, Marianne has the other one, and so now we have to just wait for whatever Einstein is on the other tribe to like find it or whatever that line was."
Uh-huh.
And the way that they had been editing Mike up to that point, played that line for sarcasm, you know.
Mhm.
So it's like, oh, okay, all right. So it's either they're having difficulty with this non-archetypal archetype, or um, or they're showing us one thing so the they can sort of flip the expectations in the next sort of part
Next
of the
episodes.
show
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
Maybe like Mike will come up with some huge strategy that like upends the games of so many of in their alliance of now it's an alliance of seven now.
it's 7 now. Yeah,
Right. Yeah. So there's just the seven samurai, the seven survivors. Right. So there's yeah. So it's and I think that we've been seeing that for the past couple of 41 was also sort of like that. They were starting to subvert expectations, and then we
yeah,
have it here again. Although it's more, I think it's more prevalent here in 42, like the subversion of expectations, the flipping, as you called it,
yeah.
of what happened, like what happens with characters. It's more prevalent here in 42.
No,
Yeah,
that
and
that reminds me of something that the Survivor Specialist podcast talked about. Like
what
they
did they
were they
say?
were comparing 41 and 42,
Uh-huh.
and they were saying something along the lines of, this is the first couple of seasons that CBS has their diversity initiative or whatever it's called, or
Okay.
their inclusion initiative, and it felt like 41. Um, they found a lot of people that look different. With 42, they found people that actually are different.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like with 41, the cast was more diverse in terms of, race, sexual orientation, etc., etc. But they still fell into these broad archetypes that we usually find in like a reality show,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with 42, you find less of what we would normally think of as like the archetypes that we would find in a Survivor type show.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Even before the season started, when I was looking at the profiles of the different survivors for 42, it was like, wait, this does not look like a usual survivor cast. And I
No.
think that for me that's a big high for the season, right? And we're seeing it here, especially here in the not quite a merge episode, right? We're seeing it here. We're seeing it develop. We're seeing it come to the fore. How all of these different, not quite, not quite a merge, and not quite the archetypes, survivor archetypes coming to the fore. And it's really cool. It's really making this season enjoyable and refreshing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, no, that's
Yeah.
that's quite the high. What was the other relationship that
Oh, the
crystallized
other
that you
bonding
were?
moment that I really was touched by was when Romeo confided in High about them being, I mean, his finding out the his seeing High being such a not being bound, not being scared, because
Yeah,
Romeo confided that he not a lot of his family know that he's part of the LGBTQ community. He saw that, and it it showed you how, yeah, again, another pair bonding over similar experiences, and then High becoming sort of highlighted. That's another hashtag, highlighted. uh so yeah, so becoming highlighted as a sort of a mentor type to Romeo, right? So
yeah,
it again, that moment was really touching, and I think that it the sort of the producers of Survivor, Probst and company, really wanted to show that, because
yeah.
that's been sort of a thing that they've been pushing for the past couple of seasons, right?
You know what
Yeah.
I find so weird about it? Like, and this is why I think it's such a nice, like, pure moment
Mhm.
because that moment of High and Romeo didn't lead to some sort of in-game alliance,
Mm. Mm.
right?
Yes.
Like, it wasn't like, all right, we have the skinny gay guys alliance or whatever. Like, no, it was like a pure sort of very human moment,
Yeah.
and it was something that was one of my highlights here.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the the character moments, the
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, and we wouldn't have gotten those moments. I don't think that we probably would have gotten those moments, or maybe just gotten one of those two moments, had it been compressed into a 1 hour episode. Had we had a cliffhanger,
yeah,
because of the longer runtime, we were allowed to see all of those other moments. The what would usually go into the extra scenes that they would release
yeah,
somewhere somehow, right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
agreed,
So
man. That's
yeah,
one of the highest, one of the
yeah,
big
any other
highs, man.
highs for you?
Quite a lot.
Quite a lot.
You know, Tori is such a high for me this episode.
Oh,
Like,
wow. Uh-huh.
I the fact that she's such a villain, you know,
Okay.
like
Okay.
they're they're giving her such a good sort of villain edit. You really see like the chaotic evil like if we were to do that D&D thing, like
Uh-huh.
Tori, just chaotic evil. Like first thing she does, like, okay, I'm going to throw everybody in my tribe under the bus when we have our like merge feast, you know. When Roxroy comes back, she's like, no, we gave you the advantage.
Yeah, yeah, that one.
You ungrateful, like, you know? And then she goes on to win individual immunity. Like, come on, dude. It's just so entertaining. It's like mm, chaotic evil.
True. True. Yes, Story made for good TV. Her villainy. Well, we the audience has labeled her as a villain. I'm sure that she didn't see herself as a villain. She
Yeah,
didn't like really perceive herself, or try to uh show that being a villain while they were shooting. But yeah, the edit she's been getting, she's being shown as a villain, and she made for good TV for this week, right? She made for good TV, and while I am down, I'm sort of down because she won individual immunity, but at the same time, I'm high because of, you can't have like everything go well, right?
yeah,
There has to be like a conflict or something. So yeah, her winning individual immunity really put the monkey wrench in the plans of the alliance of eight, now alliance of seven. So
now
that
Alliance of Seven. Yeah, I don't know. Like, what's it like? Last season didn't have like a clear villain. I don't think. Like, I don't remember them having a
really,
clear
I would
villain.
have, I really pegged Shan being like the clear villain. She even had her own villain
Well, she had
hum, the villain
the
hum. Yeah,
shanthim or whatever. Yeah,
yeah, right. But
yeah, but then
she wasn't as notorious, I would say, because she was sneaky. This
yeah,
one
yeah,
with Tori, you've got an all-out villain who doesn't, who based on the edit doesn't really quite care if she's being pegged as a villain or not, and she just goes about her way, and for this episode at the very least, got her way, right?
yeah. I mean, like, I would say that I would say that Shan, at least towards the back half of the season, because like it was in the front half of the season that Shan and Ricard were like straight up villains because of the blind sides. But towards the
Mm.
back half of the season, if I were to put her into like one of those D&D alignment charts, I wouldn't put her as like a chaotic evil, which
Mm.
to me doesn't speak to me doesn't say villain in the way that Survivor, in the way that Survivor might like to portray a villain.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know, if you
yeah. Got it. Yeah. So yeah, in that way, I guess you can say that yeah, 41 didn't have like a clear cut villain. And here we've got a villain. So if ever they do make a heroes versus villains season again, they've got one. They already have
yeah,
one. And Tori. So
yeah,
maybe she is living up to. You mentioned that they were sort of uh, portraying her as the second coming of Parvati. Parvati Shallow. Yeah, she got married, so it's different now. But anyway, Parvati Shallow, and she was still before she won. So yeah, so maybe she is living up to being the second coming of Parvati. Who knows? Who knows, right?
oh. She might end up doing something like super like heroic or something at
Who
some point.
knows? Who knows? Yeah, that might be her turn. That might be her turn because in this season of I don't know if we're calling it that yet, but yeah, in this season of subversion of expectations, that might be her turn. Like she becomes like very heroic. She sacrifices her game for the sake of, say, I don't know, Marianne. I don't know,
Yeah.
one of the smaller, younger ones, right? Or better yet, she sacrifices her game for the sake of Roxroy.
Roxroy. Oh, that would be amazing. I totally watched that.
Right?
Like
Now,
if
yes,
she does that, oh, that would break my heart.
right, and then it would immediately wipe away all villainy labels on Tori. Yeah. Speaking of one of their former tribe mates, I one of my highs was Drea finding out more or less about the hourglass twist.
Oh
she
yeah.
she was like she just suddenly came out of it and came out with it, and I was like, wait, we haven't seen 41. How would she have known that? Are they
Yeah.
are they secretly getting information just so that people will like, oh my god, Drea? So, but again, Drea is being seen as a very number one perceptive
Yeah.
castaway. She has how many? Two advantages, and she is
Three.
in her own right three. Does she have three? No, yeah,
Extra
she only
vote.
has two. Oh yeah, the extra vote. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, so
Uh,
she's got
extra
three.
vote.
She's very perceptive,
Yeah.
and then in her own way, she is a physical threat as well. But it didn't quite show here. She had
Yeah.
to she had to be helped out by Mike to get up on that ball. But yeah, in her own way, she is a threat physically because she's an athlete, right?
Yeah. It's like a
Uh,
fitness coach or something, right?
yeah, she should be fit at least, right? So there, it really shows you that again. She is someone who will have to be dealt with, and it will be very hard to deal with if
Yeah.
she figures out how to use all of her advantages correctly. Right?
Yeah. Agreed. Um, it was something that really stood out to me as well when she was like, we're probably gonna reverse immunity, whatever. And we're like, whoa, she totally called it. Because apparently, watching like the exit interviews of Lydia,
Mhm.
uh, there was a lot more time that Jeff was saying, like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to send Roxroy? This is a big advantage. Like he was a little bit more hint hint nudge nudge, this is huge, you know.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I suppose that's how Drea was able to call it.
Maybe. Maybe. I
Right?
mean, you would have to think, why would Jeff place so much importance on on the advantage, right? Especially
Yeah,
in a not quite merge, where one
yeah,
group was suddenly given immunity and the other one would have to fight for their life
yeah.
uh,
Ano, diba?
in the
The
game.
the the wording of Jeff was, will have the power to change the game,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
And like, given that scenario, what in the game could be changed? Like, they, you know, tribes. I mean, they aren't. They're in Mergatory, so like there are no tribes that can be changed.
Hmm.
So it's sort of like, if you run the logic, you probably end up realizing that it has something to do with immunity, or maybe this is just us with hindsight, right? But like, I would like to think that there really isn't very much that that one can change given the state of the game at that moment, apart from immunity.
Yeah. 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 But still, my gosh, she was able to figure it out. Yeah. And any other highs? What are? Let's go with one of your multitudes of highs. Another one of your multitude of highs.
Um, Jonathan and Omar just being brilliant.
Oh yes. Oh my god. That was that was I actually attribute that more to Omar. But then anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
Right? Like, putting putting Marianne's name out there was brilliant. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this was Jonathan, right?
Mm. Yeah.
This was the brilliant thing that, well, Jonathan did. Put Marianne's name out there, and then cuts directly to him saying the only reason I put Marianne's name out there was to make it seem like we're not as tight as we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we were talking about, like, was it a mistake for him to say that, oh, we're a solid four, whatever, whatever, like, we presume that they are a solid four, at least given, the current makeup of the merged tribe, like they are a solid four. But by putting Marianne's name out there just a little bit, he gets to counteract that, like, solid four thing that
Uh-huh.
he said. So, it gives them all a little bit more wiggle room, while at the same time still managing to be a solid four.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that
I
was
agree.
a really cool move by Jonathan, as part of, well, um Jonathan and Omar's, like, Operation Perfect Human Being.
The perfect human being and alliance. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, Omar was like, oh, such a high.
Mm-hmm.
Omar's gameplay. He's like the anti Chanel, like, not having a vote but calling the shot.
Mm. Yeah. Sorry, Omar was very active in lobbying for, not lobbying even. I don't think he can call it lobbying. I don't think that he was trying to push one way or another. But with Omar's game here in this episode, I love how he was able to use that very small detail of
Yeah,
Lydia saying something and then using that to put a wedge between Lydia and the rest of the alliance, right? To throw votes on Lydia. That was, for me, that was masterclass. That was masterclass.
yeah.
Yeah,
Did it
he's
said
proving that he is the owl in the night who's gonna come
it?
down and eat the little mice. And then he used another predator animal for this episode. He's a shark ready to
Shark,
eat
yeah.
the others when time called for it, right? So
Yeah, so, like, the anti Chanel.
the anti Chanel.
And
Yeah.
because they were, it was a couple of episodes ago, Chanel was saying that I don't have a vote, but I'm calling the shot. and that was when Hai got majority on their tribe.
Yeah.
So that there was a little bit of that irony there. But then the how do we call it, the kaship wheel of Chanel, um
The ship wheelmate.
yeah, the ship wheelmate of Chanel, did what she couldn't or did what she didn't. So there's like that really nice sort of heads and tails sort of thing going on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was really
yeah.
good storytelling.
Yeah. And aside from the fact that he was able to pull all of that off, showed how strategic he can be, Omar also showed he's got Jonathan's back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the so he used his strategy to be able to push forward his social game with someone he's got the I don't maybe aside from Marianne and Lindsay, no one else really knows that they've got that alliance of the perfect human being. But yeah, it really pushed that alliance, and moving forward, I think that he will have Jonathan in his pocket. And yeah, because he is a shark ready to eat the others when the time when the time calls for it. I'm not necessarily sure if he will continue to see Jonathan in the same light. Right, when the time calls for it, I'm sure that he's gonna be able to he might be able to sacrifice Jonathan.
Oh, yeah,
easily.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it. It's that that I think that Daniel said about Survivor being like boxing, where boxers
Yeah.
don't hit people in real life. Like that's something that really rings true. Like you just kind of lie in the game of Survivor. And lies were revealed that night. At least that was what Hai said during tribal council.
Yeah. That tribal was just wild. But before we get to tribal, one of my highs was Roxroy. Actually, Roxroy being sent to exile was a high in in uh in comparison to last season's exile participant Erica, because we could not have gotten a more different person from Erica going to exile. In the end, he even said, if I could just stay in exile, I would be happy, because he thrived in exile. He made his own shelter. He was able to make fire. And, right? If he had tools, he probably would have caught fish or something. He thrived being alone, and it might be a low, but it shows you that Roxroy is better off by himself rather than in a team, right?
which could be good, since we're in the individual part of Survivor now. So
yeah,
you never know.
Yeah. You never know. But yeah, but he loved it out there. And also in exile, it was a good for me. It was a good edit when with Rox when Rox had that that line. I'm saying it's a line when Rox said that being out here, you're allowed to not think about the game, and then all of a sudden the boat comes.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Jeff comes in, right? Yeah,
I found that so cool. That was
and he did get his line was the one that was used for the second half of the episode. So devil, when I first heard that, devil you do, devil you don't, is that something that you hear? I know damned if you do, damned if you don't, but
yeah,
I haven't quite heard of devil you do, devil you don't.
You described it quite well, though.
Yeah. It's basically the same thing, right? He probably just knows it differently. But yeah, Roxroy and Exile, we found out about his deteriorating eyesight. I had always been wondering, why does he have those really thick ass glasses when during the evening or whenever, like at certain times he would have thick glasses on, and it was because of that. And I was happy for him. I actually was happy for him being allowed that time away from the game, he was able to experience all of that. He took it in because of his
Yeah.
deteriorating eyesight. It was cool. It was cool to see him go through that.
The Horace Grant glasses, as I called them.
To the kids who might be watching, Horace Grant is a player from the 90s who wore basketball, who wore goggles, who were sort of like what Roxroy was wearing. Yeah,
Yep.
he was one of two Grant twins. The son of his twin brother is actually playing in the NBA right now, Jeremy Grant.
Ooh.
So yeah. So
And there's your Laro-Laro lang crossover.
there you go. So that's why this is on the Laro-Laro Lang channel, right? We don't just talk
Bring
about
in,
Survivor. It's also about sports. There you go.
bring in the basketball references.
Uh-huh.
my
The
my high for that is, in my notes, is simply just like Roxroy exclamation point, because
Mhm.
like everything everything about Roxroy this episode was great.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like all of the personal content that he got, and just chef's kiss. Yeah, giving him that hero moment of like, like the looking out into the sunset and all of that, like, and being able to make it seem as though there was any other choice other than to break the stupid hourglass.
Because yeah, you would think that Roxroy, being like, okay, there's only one way to play the game, and this is how you should play the game with honor. You should play the game with whatever, yada yada yada. He probably wouldn't have, right? We lost,
Yeah.
so oh no, sorry, it's not we. The other team lost, so they should go to the immunity challenge. So you didn't, you wouldn't really think it was enough of a there was enough doubt that you would think that you wouldn't actually break the hourglass. Oh, by the way, speaking of the hourglass, while I'm quite okay with the hourglass twist. One additional tweak that I would do though for the hourglass is that whoever has the hourglass brings it back to the challenge, to the immunity challenge, and he has to decide in front of the others.
Oh, that would be so crazy. That'd be crazy.
Right? That would like yeah, I mean it for me that creates, it immediately gives you, it gives the others a more visceral uh, uh, moment or instance where they see the person dash their hopes out right in front of them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that for me, that would be the tweak. That would be the tweak. So Jeff would bring in the person from exile. Okay, we've got the hourglass, and then okay, explain to them what the hourglass stands for. Blah blah blah. Now, what are you gonna do? Right? And then he has to choose whether to break it or to just give it back to Jeff.
Well, the other, I still really do think that one way to quote unquote fix the hourglass is to give the person immunity regardless.
So it's really just about screwing over the
Yeah.
the one group and then rewarding the other group. Yeah, true.
Because at the fact that breaking the hourglass means you get immunity in the individual part of the game, and you're missing the first like 2 days of the swap, the swap. You're missing the first 2 days of the merge. Yeah. So, you're missing out on all of that conversation, all of that social game. Like, you're going to be paranoid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, of course, you're going to go for the option that gives you immunity because you're not going to have a feel for whether or not you're getting voted out.
Yeah. And it made it even more of a no-brainer for Roxroy because his alliance was on the losing end. Drea and Romeo were on the losing end, right? So and you could even see even before the immunity challenge, you could see Romeo was like pleading with his eyes, to Roxroy, hoping that he made the right decision. Right now, imagine that. Imagine the pleading, and you still haven't made the decision. The hourglass is right there. It's
Yeah.
unbroken. You're waiting for the guy coming who came back from exile to make the decision. That would be so. That would be good TV in my opinion.
Oh yeah. So, but the let's talk about the hourglass. It's
Yeah.
better than last season. I like the mechanic of Jeff all but telling them that it's going to be a reversal of the immunity. Like, the more information, like, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's still kind of overpowered. Um, I still think that they should get immunity regardless.
Mm-hmm.
It should be turning the hourglass over.
But what would be a good advantage for turning the hourglass over?
Hmm. What is the what are the like what is the hourglass trying to achieve? Yeah.
Just a way for the person in exile to screw over the people who sent him there. Maybe I don't know.
Like that's the other like that's a way to think about it then, like
Yeah.
I can see like this twist being good in the sense that you limit the number of people that are eligible to be voted out
Mm-hmm.
that are eligible to be voted out in the merge. That way you don't have a situation where, like, okay, you have 12 people and you know you have like a it makes for better strategy content, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
Right.
I thought, what if, right? We go by the hourglass be standing for time, right?
Mm.
Because that's what it's supposed to stand for. Hourglass is for time. You're not breaking the hourglass stops time. It doesn't change time, right? So turning the hourglass turns back time, like maybe I don't know, 24 hours to right before the not quite merge challenge. To that point, everyone is back. Everyone is back. There's no there's no split yet, and they have to draw rocks again. They have to go through that entire thing again. The reward doesn't happen anymore. But that's just basically what happens. You reverse time to that point, and then
Yeah.
they have to do the whole thing all over again with no promise of reward, except for the fact that it becomes an immunity challenge.
Yeah. That
Right?
makes that makes more sense.
Right? It's that way you don't you're not you're still you still aren't sure of whether or not you're gonna get immunity, right? Because you're
Yeah.
still gonna have to fight for it. But the difference is uh you get a chance to fight for it. You get a second chance at it. You get a second chance at getting immunity. And then they remove that whole gray rock idea. So it's gonna be 6 versus 6. And then they fight for immunity. Only one team gets immunity. The other 6 they have to get voted. Something like that.
Oh,
Something like that.
that'd be really interesting. That's really interesting.
Right? You wipe away like the previous 24 hours or something like that. Except for the food, because they're gonna, or you take away the food from there. The reward they tell people that it's an immunity challenge, sort of, right? And that way, after the reverse time, if time was reversed, so they go back, and then after that, that's when they get, after they vote out the the person, the odd person out, person number 12, right? That's when they get a merge feast, so that everyone also gets to participate in a
Yeah.
merge feast, right?
But so it
So
becomes an immunity challenge.
yeah, and the merge feast would still be sponsored by Applebee's or something. I don't know. So it's big. It's delicious. It's home. Right? It's emotional.
I found that so weird, man. Like the breaking the fourth wall moment. Like that was re- really, Jeff. That's one of the like big factors that you changed.
Yeah, because it's well, we're Filipinos. I've never been to. I've never experienced an Applebee meal. I have you?
Yeah, yeah. It's food.
It's yeah. So yeah, it might be something really big for American. And we're not sure. We're not sure. If there are any of you, any Americans out there who happen to have watched this little podcast, let us know how big Applebee's, because we don't have Applebee's here in the Philippines yet.
Is it big? Is it emotional? And is
Yeah,
it home?
is it home? Right? Do you still have any highs?
Let's see. What are my other wait, let me there we go. So uh, I really like the feeling of having all of the advantages in play.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know. I'm getting like these serious sort of Mexican standoff vibes.
And who would be behind the guns? Who would be holding the guns?
Like Drea, Marianne, Mike, like every hi, the people that have all of these advantages.
Hmm.
It's like a Tarantino film. They're all like,
And
you know,
yeah, I mean, especially the advantage amulet, that it is not a tool for cooperation or collaboration. Not in the way that a lot of people thought at first, right?
yeah,
It's really a tool for being sneaky and blindsiding, because you want,
yeah,
in the end, you want that individual immunity, that immunity idol. So I mean, who you would all three would have to agree, or all two would have to agree, to use the advantage, right? What
hmm,
at whatever stage, if there's three of you, if there's two of you, you have to agree
yeah,
on. So my initial thought of it being each one having that specific advantage, that's out the window. Uh, Although I think that would still be a
that would
good
have been
feat.
better.
Yeah, right. That would
That I think that would have been better.
yeah,
Like if somebody needs to use an extra vote in the pre-merge phase of the game,
yeah,
then coming into the merge, like they lose the possibility of an idol. Something
yeah.
it's
Or yeah. So if they use it, and then the other two would get the tree mail, would get a message. Okay, now your advantage amulet is worth steal a
steal
vote,
a vote. Yeah,
right? So it, that makes it worthwhile to have it at the start of the entire season, rather
yeah,
than now, where you have to wait until the merge for it to have any significance, right?
yeah. So I I agree. That's probably how they could make it better for 43 if they still go with it. And 43. But I really like how it feels like there's this sort of Mexican standoff where it's like
Uh-huh.
mutually assured destruction. The scary part is an advantage getting. Is that that's
Explain it to me. This is the what advantage given.
is that the term
I'm not. I don't
where
know. I haven't. This is the first time hearing of it, man.
there was that season where was it Siri or something? It was like voted out by default.
Oh, where everyone had advantage, everyone had immunity, and because there was no one else left.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, okay. Also, they call it advantage given. They
I
call that
think that's
advantage given.
yeah, I think that's what they call it. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
like the scary part is ending up with like an advantage get in sort of situation. But I like the idea that like there's a lot more paranoia.
Mm,
At
mm,
least makes for better like tense moments in tribal council when
mm.
Jeff says, "If anybody here has an advantage," and then like cut to Marianne, cut to Drea,
Mhm.
cut to High, like cut to
Yeah,
Mike.
yeah. Cut to Mike suddenly. Oh, I have something to say. There is such beauty and there's such grace in the game of
The
soccer.
game soccer.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Advantage Geddon.
So I
Yeah.
hope that doesn't happen. But this is, uh, I like that. I like the vibe. I like the vibe of the tribe.
The vibe of the tribe. Well, that was an episode title. Uh,
Yep.
last last episode's title. Yeah. The
Do you?
unnamed now merged tribe.
Uh, do you have any other highs?
Oh, my this is my last high.
Uh,
I love the fact that the producers are doubling up on the Ouroboros imagery. That
mm,
immunity necklace, it's really badass. To me, it's
yeah.
badass. I love it. Yeah, and I'm sticking with my theory that they purposely made it an Ouroboros because they uh, they acknowledge the fact that they're in this ecosystem with their partners outside of the game. You've got your Obsessor you've got your Peridiums, you've got all of these other guys who feed into the hype of Survivor,
Yeah.
creating more fans, and the fans become hyped on Survivor. They audition to be part of Survivor. Survivor continues to thrive as a show, which in turn again helps their partners thrive as podcasts, which again and it becomes a cycle. It's the Ouroboros basically.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with that. I'm sticking with that idea that they did it on purpose. They did that on purpose.
Most, I don't know, most of the cast on this season and the cast last season are fans of the show.
Yeah, I think
Like,
all of them are. All of them are.
uh,
Yeah, not probably not super fans, not Daniel levels,
yeah,
but all of them are have watched or have followed Survivor. Probably haven't analyzed it the way some other super fans do. But
yeah,
yeah.
but like all of them, um, fans in their own right. Lydia, not so much now, but I don't know how true that is.
Oh. Hmm.
Like she wasn't one of those like lifers, I guess. Like it was only fairly recently. She was
Hmm.
one of Jeff's picks. I don't know how true that is.
Oh, I see. I see. Hmm. Okay. Oh, yeah. I guess that the producers will have a couple that they're gonna bring in that they just really like.
I found it interesting that the amulet was um the thing that sort of was sort of the beginning of the alliance of eight, now seven.
Oh, I did not catch that. Really? Was it them first?
But it feels like it was Drea, Hai, and Lindsay
Uh huh.
that
That
first
started the whole
started
thing.
that first started talking, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, I have."
These are my
Lindsay
numbers.
was
These
like,
are
"Yeah,
my
these are my
numbers.
numbers," and then they all kind of bring their numbers together, which is what left Tori and Chanel on the outs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm.
Like, I found that really interesting. Not necessarily higher or lower or anything, but I just found that really interesting. Like it actually came into play at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But
They went in with, but yeah, these are players who went in with good intentions, or at least for now want to give
yeah,
off good intentions.
yeah. So it's like really good setup again,
Mm-hmm.
like because if this alliance was crystallized around something that is meant to be a what was it that you used? What was the word that you used? It's a vehicle for backstabbing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like to see the alliance or the big alliance crystallize around a mechanism that was built for backstabbing, we're setting up a really good fall here. You know,
yeah, yeah. Well, actually, you could see.
that's
I could
quite
understand it
nice.
with high because for me, I'm gonna explain a little bit more later. High as a player, I'm seeing High as a player who he's a numbers guy basically. He always
Yeah.
needs to know the numbers and he needs to be on the right side of the numbers.
Mm.
He wants to always be on the right side of the numbers. So he pushed. That's why he pushed for. He always says it. Okay, these are my numbers. I need to keep my number. Uh, yeah. So I see. I could see how he would go into that, seeing the advantage of forging this alliance with beginning with the advantage amulet for now. But
Yeah.
again, if the numbers change later on, yeah. Among the three, actually, Drea would be the most suspicious. The person I would see using the advantage amulet the way that I think we think it should be used for it to be a mechanism for backstabbing for one upping the other two, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting thing that you pointed out, right? Yeah, yeah.
And well, finally, and this is both like a high and a low.
Mm-hmm.
High.
Okay.
You know, my pick for the season. He's like our narrator for the tribe. I like that.
Okay.
You know, he's the narrator for the tribe, and it was really cool. Like High being a numbers guy, I feel it was like a calculated risk for him to take out Lydia, knowing
Mhm.
that she's not going to be on the jury.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if she were on the jury, the calculation would have been very different. But
Mhm.
the way that it looks like he did it, like, okay, cut Lydia to show that that I can be a number.
Mhm.
And by giving the appearance of somebody that is just being a number is how he sort of gets his agency in the game. I think it was, the first time I ever heard anybody use the term agency in Survivor. But then, I've only really watched clips here and there.
You still haven't done your homework the way that the 2 seasons that Martin asked you to watch. You haven't started on them yet.
I've started Pearl Island, so yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I remember watching the opening of that for some reason. I remember seeing it on TV. Like it was something that stood out to me. That all right, we were dumping them in with the clothes on their back, and then after that, it's just all blank. So I must have seen that first episode, but but other than that, no. Yeah. So I'm making it through. I'm making it through Pearl Island.
Pearl Islands. Yeah. Rupert, and Johnny Fairplay. Yeah. Okay. So that's it for your highs.
I mean, the only highs that I really care to talk about. Yeah, I mean, the whole episode was a high for me.
The episode was a high. It was more. Yeah. It was wow. It was big. It was emotional.
It was
Wow.
home.
Was it home? Anyway, let's go to our friend who is away from home. And let us go to Martin's thoughts.
With Martin or
with,
not Martin?
with Martin. Yeah. All right. Here are Martin's thoughts.
Martin's thoughts with Martin. Yeah.
Now, for the high, I gotta say the highest of the high would be Applebee's. Because they're getting product placements not only in the show, but if you notice during the commercial in CBS, they're getting all the Applebee's spots. And they're not even highlighting the products that they have there in the challenge. They're highlighting some products there that are outside of challenge, like some sort of weird salad that I kind of want to get, because I haven't been in Applebee's for like 12 years, man. So I got the munchies while watching that segment. So that's my first high. My second high would ironically be Roxroy. Of all the people you thought will not hit the hourglass, he actually had the balls to actually hit the hourglass. I didn't see that coming. So, congrats to you, Roxroy. It's gonna be the night at the Roxbury Roxroy, because you are the highest of the high.
Martin's thoughts with Martin. Yeah.
Okay.
It's Martin.
That was such a Martin thing to say. Oh yeah, again, like I said, I've never been to Applebee's, so I'm assuming it's a little bit like closest thing would probably be Wendy's here in the Philippines. I don't know.
Yeah, sort of. But then it's a bit bigger, but
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Wow. So yeah, that's Martin's high. Yeah, he got the munchies from watching the commercials. Okay, that is
Roxroy.
And Roxroy, yes, this was a good episode for Roxroy. Good episode through and through.
I'm scared he's gonna get the boot soon.
Because we already know his backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already know about his emotional core. So those were Martin's highs, Martin's thoughts. Interesting, peculiar thoughts, but yeah, cool nonetheless. All right, let us go to the lows.
Hopefully a short, probably going to be a much shorter.
Probably shorter, yeah.
Conversation.
Why don't you start us off?
And so how I said hi was like hi, but this is a nominal low because hi is like my pick for the season. In the Omar versus Hai like standoff, because that's essentially what this episode was. My boy Hai lost.
Mm-hmm. True.
That was it was really great storytelling though, like seeing seeing the Hai Omar, like essentially that's what it was. It was a battle of wits between Hai and Omar, and one can take it as Hai finding agency through appearing to be a number, or you can also take it as sort of Hai losing in that standoff.
Yeah.
So as somebody that's on the high road, it can be both a high and a low for this episode.
Yeah,
because my boy lost.
Your boy lost for this episode, or at least he played possum, possibly.
Yeah.
Using the animal analogy that Omar is very well known for. He played possum to get along, get by. Yeah, that's actually also one of my lows. His world just basically got upended because he ended up. I actually was surprised that he ended up voting for Lydia as well. Right? Because if you think about it, the vote, the votes he didn't need to necessarily vote for Lydia, because the numbers would have still gotten Lydia out. It still would have been 6 votes, or 5 votes would have gone to Lydia, and the Chanel didn't have an idea who to vote for. So she wasn't gonna vote for whoever. Tori didn't know who to vote for. It was also weird for me that Roxroy voted for Lindsay.
Lindsay.
That was weird. So yeah. In a Facebook group that I'm a part of, someone actually proposed that Roxroy probably thought what he was writing, Lindsay, meant Lydia.
Lids or whatever.
Yeah. So
makes sense. I mean, he wasn't there for like
for 2 days.
He wasn't there for the 2 days of the beginning of that interaction. So
no, but my thing is, they had that Shipwheel Island thing. They were there together. I would think that he would have gotten Lydia's name down pat during that time. They spent like a whole afternoon, unless he's not the kind of guy who remembers names that quickly. That easily.
One of the questions that they kept on asking Lydia during her post-game interviews was it really that awkward with Roxroy? And she was like, the TV show doesn't do justice to how awkward it truly was.
So it's true that it's possible that Roxroy probably didn't even ask her name. But yeah, you would think that spending an entire, I'm assuming, I don't know the timeline, but I'm assuming that's like an entire afternoon.
Yeah.
Up to like right before tribal. So probably about 4 hours with each other. 3 to 4 hours with each other. It would have been weird. It would have been weird for him not to, at the very least, ask for the name, because that's what they do. I mean, when you enter into the camp, you always start with "Hi, Joel," and then you shake hands and "Hi, nice to meet you, nice to meet you." That's what you do in camp. I'm thinking that he would have done that, but maybe he didn't.
So I don't know.
But But yeah,
At what point was at one at what point was Lindsay's name thrown out there? Because like, you know, I get the feeling that uh I don't know, but there's that like truism in um Survivor that it doesn't matter who has the best plan. Like what matters is who has the last plan.
oh really?
Right? Yeah, because like Omar had the last plan. Get rid of Lydia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right? You know, before that it was like Jonathan, Marianne,
Jonathan.
it
Yeah,
was, you know, so like it doesn't matter who has the best plan. All that matters is who has the last plan. And sometimes seeing like voting patterns can give you insight into like when did this person get cut out.
yeah.
That's what I was wondering about. Like, okay, so maybe somebody threw like Lindsay's name out there, and then Roxroy being Roxroy was like, all right, this is my
This is it.
decision. And then just like
This is
tunes
it.
out.
Because that's how he is,
Yeah.
right? Give me one decision, give me one answer, and then we're sticking with that. Right?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean that's another theory that I have on that.
Anyway, going back to High, yeah, his world just got upended. Uh because yeah, basically he had to lose out on the numbers for this one. He had to become a number for this one. Hopefully to suddenly all of a sudden like rise from the ashes as a phoenix, continuing
Yeah.
the animal or the guy, even though it's a mythical animal, mythical creature analogy. And yeah, cutting, like what Jenny said, cutting the throats of everyone in their sleep.
Yeah. That
Going
was
back
so
to
good.
that.
It's like, oh,
Yeah, so
foreshadowing.
yeah, who knows? Who knows? He's just, biding his time. He was forced, but he really was forced to vote for Lydia here. I think
Yeah.
that the momentum probably of Omar building the case for Lydia was too big, and he just made a calculated decision. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't go to Rocks. He probably didn't have enough time to build a case to, at the very least, make it a 6-6 vote. So yeah, it
Yeah,
was there.
I know. And what's it? He it's good that he was able to get on the right side of the vote though. Like
Mhm.
that's sort of been one of his things, right? Like be on the right side of the vote.
Yeah.
Or did he say that, or is that just my assumption that he would have said that because that's one of those Survivor things that like it's always good to be on the right side of the vote when you're pleading your case to a jury.
Well,
Like that's always something that you throw in there. I was always on the right side of the vote.
meaning that you were always like in the winning group, with the winning group. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's probably just for now, but it's a low. It's a low for me. High. This episode was a low for High. Hopefully he is able to come back from it. Yeah, and another low for me would be Marianne, actually.
Oh.
Marianne, in the sense that because she's young, and then that whole thing of when, because she was one of the people who voted for Jonathan, right? Or no, did she also vote for Lydia?
No, she voted for Lydia.
She voted for Lydia, but during the in the course of the episode, she again lets out her frustration with Jonathan, with her statement of like a problem. I don't even know how to make sense of what she said. A problem later is a shield in the future. I don't know how that makes sense. A problem later is a shield in the future. Yeah. Right. I think she was trying to differentiate uh, a, someone you don't know would be a problem versus someone you know is a problem right now. But how does that make that person a shield in the future? I don't know.
Maybe it's actually, yeah, that was one thing I was trying to figure out. Like, does she mean that like A problem now that you don't vote off is somebody that's going to be voted off in the future. So like a shield for like a name that you can throw under the bus.
Could be.
So maybe she just misspoke, right? Like a problem now is a shield in the future. That kind of makes sense. I
That
guess like
that yeah yeah, that makes better sense.
yeah.
But Tori made it sound as if she made the perfect sense the way that she said it. You could see how Tori was just really being villainous there. Anything to gain advantage, anyone but her. And yeah, Tori just played her like a fiddle.
Uh,
You're so intuitive. To think you're so young. Like, and Marianne being Marianne was like, yeah, wow, thank you. Right. So yeah, so Tori, the villain of this season so far, is coming out is using her talents really well.
yeah.
You could see that she was actually ever since the first few episodes with even with Zach and Swati over on Ika, she really wanted to mentor or be around the younger people.
Mm.
Probably because it was easier for her to manipulate them because the
Yeah.
older people know her, know how she would play already. Right, and right here, she also did it with Marianne, right? So yeah. And speaking of
That's
Tori, yeah,
true.
that winning that immunity, that's a low for me because it's for me it's about time. Just like with Daniel, it was about time for him to get
Mm.
voted off last episode. For me, this would have been the time for Tori to get voted off. So it's a low for me. But then again, as we discussed earlier, it makes for great TV because the villain wins the first individual immunity.
It
So
was
yeah.
like I don't know. It was like one of the things now that or one of the things Kono that made Survivor was the fact that a villain won the first season.
Oh yeah, Richard Hatch.
Yeah, if Richard Hatch didn't win, Survivor would have just been like a Bear Grylls thing.
True. True. Because now
Yeah.
you've got like the succeeding seasons would have to be okay. The heroes, the good guys have to win, and
But
a good
besides,
guy won the second season. Right?
yeah,
Tina Wesson
I don't
on
know.
Australia.
Besides the whole strategy thing. Like if Richard Hatch had not won that first season, the game would have been very different.
Mm, mm,
Because what
I could see that.
the big debate was, are we going to have an alliance or not?
Mm,
Tapos, having strategy turned out to be the thing that won Hatch the Million. So that's what everybody in the future had to kind of follow. They had to be a little bit more schemy and all of that.
mhm.
So like Survivor needs its villains.
Yeah, yeah, it
You
does.
know,
It does.
like Batman. Diba?
Yeah. Or rather than villains, do we call them antagonists? No, because I think that they're all protagonists. It's
Yeah.
just that some of them are not noble and heroic, right?
Yeah, that's why I like using the D&D alignment, chaotic evil.
Mm, mm.
Then we see like Jonathan Lawful Good.
Yeah, he's 100% lawful good. He's a paladin in my
Yeah,
in my mind.
exactly.
Uh, yeah, he's a
So
he's a
yeah, that's
tank. Yeah, he's a tank slash support. So that's paladin, basically. Yeah. So before
um
we
my
go
my
far into
other
like D&D talk, yes, go ahead with your low.
I have my other low is Lydia,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like um it's just really sad. No, we were slowly seeing the purpling of Lydia throughout the first half of the season, right? Like I remember like our purple of the week. Oh, Lydia. It's like she didn't have any confessionals, all of that.
Yeah.
Like um it was like production kind of purpled her or made us like not really care about her as much as we cared about the others because she was going to be um hourglass screwed.
Mm,
Like because if Jonathan had left this episode, if Marianne had left this episode, um
That would have been
you know,
catastrophic.
yeah, like I'm sure like a significant chunk of people would have stopped watching the show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, so like it was quite a low because I know that she's a lot more entertaining than the show makes her out to be, or the show edits her to be, right? Like
Why?
if her
Because of her Twitter.
yeah, because of her Twitter, of her post game and all, her post game interviews, like I felt that she offered more on that island, um, but the producers were constrained to make us not care,
Mm.
because if we cared too much and she was the mergatory boot, like there would have been a riot.
True. True. True.
And so that's quite the low. You know, not that Lydia did anything wrong gameplay wise or whatever, but it was just sad that she had to be purpled like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just basically she was the odd person out for Omar and Jonathan's game,
Yeah,
and it was unfortunate because they already had a clear boot in Chanel, and then
yeah.
Hourglass happened. They still had a clear boot in Tori, but Tori won
Tori
individual
wins
immunity,
immunity.
right? So yeah, it was unfortunate. She was an unfortunate sacrifice. I didn't, yeah, personally, I really didn't connect with Lydia, but I'll take you for what you're saying, that she probably did offer a lot more, and then yeah, I can see how that can happen. Where production was forced to purple her so that we don't care. That's probably why I don't connect with Lydia, because I didn't really see her do anything. Right.
Like, I'm pretty sure there could have been so much humor in that walk up the hill with Roxroy.
But then again, you're talking to a dad who, you know,
Yeah,
who thrives more alone than with
they could
company.
have they could have made her adorably awkward, you know? Like, she says something and then it's just like a montage of Roxroy going, hmm. Hmm. You know? Right? Like I'm, I'm
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she put out she gave a lot in confessionals and all of that. Like you see flashes of it in that first episode where she's like,
Go
oh,
back,
I'm
Sam.
yeah, like, oh, I old now or something. Like I feel like I've grown so much. Yeah, like, the
Mhm.
way she gave that sentiment was, you know, there was a lot. There was a lot there. You could feel that energy, I guess.
Yeah. Because we didn't really see much of her after that, right? We
Yeah,
hardly she hardly got any confessionals after that. So
yeah.
yeah.
That's why, that first episode, the our theory was that she's going to be going soon because like her story arc was complete. She doesn't like
Yeah.
the outdoors. She can survive in the outdoors.
Her time on Survivor is done. Her self discovery is done. So you
Yeah.
can go now. Yeah.
Pero nga, sayang, no? But then, the rest of the pre-merge, she's a number for high and then the mergatory boot. So that's
Yeah.
like, oh, the heart goes out to that kid, dude. Like,
Now compare her to Swati. I would probably give her a second chance more than Swati. Although yeah,
mm,
they're kind of close. I would still give Swati a second chance, not an all-star callback, a second chance.
yeah.
Uh, but based on how her personality, I think that the way that she was portrayed, in what little she was in the little she was portrayed, she makes for better TV, I think. Unless Swati
Yeah.
goes all villain and then becomes like a really scheming uh, castaway, that would make it really cool.
That would be cool.
Right. Any other lows for you?
Well, the hourglass, we've talked about that
Oh
already.
yeah.
Like, it was better. it was better than last. It was better than last season, but Roxroy described it quite well. The devil you do or the devil you don't, like it's still the devil. You know,
Yeah. True. True. So
it's like picking.
CBS, tweak it, guys. You need to tweak it a little bit more, make it different. Right?
Picking a lesser evil is still picking an evil. you know?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So
Oh,
there.
yeah. All right.
Those are really the only lows.
Yeah, this was a very high episode as a whole. This was a very high episode. Now let's see what our friend thinks. Let's go with Martin's lows with Martin.
Martin's thoughts with Martin. Martin. Yeah.
As for the low, got nothing for you. Grab your stuff, head back to camp. Good night.
Martin's thoughts with Martin. Martin. Yeah.
All right. So Martin did not have any lows at all. This was big. This was a big episode for him. All right.
It was big. It was emotional.
It was big. It was emotional for him. It was emotional for him because of Applebee's. Yeah. So yeah. Wow. Oh, cool. Martin really loved this episode, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In our group chat, he was, he was really excited.
Mm.
Like, usually it's one of us. It's usually one of the two of us that like says first, watch it already. Oh my god! But then like this week it was Martin. Like, oh my god! You guys have to watch it.
Yeah, he really loved this episode. Okay, wow, that's it. That's cool. Now, before we go to our predictions, let's go to our picks of the week. Let's start with the castaway of the week. Who's your castaway of the week?
Oh, coin flip. It's either Roxroy or Omar.
Roxroy or Omar? I actually have Omar, because of how he masterfully manipulated that tribal, or the pre-tribal, I would say. Right?
Yeah, but then I don't know. We got Roxroy.
Roxroy and his that emotional solitude, and him basically just changing the game.
So for our best for the week, you can have Omar. I can have Roxroy.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So goat of the week. Who is your goat of the week?
Oh, tough one. Chanel.
Yeah, we agree there.
Yeah, man, Chanel.
Chanel.
Tough one. My number 2.
And it's really like, it was kind of sad the way that they edited her here. She played that part where she would walk in and they would suddenly all disperse.
Yeah,
I'm so sad.
Twice.
Yeah, they did it twice, and then they even discussed before the second time. They discussed like, you know what? When she gets here, we should like stay for a while and talk. Yada yada yada. But then when she did get there, awkward silence. Okay, I need to go check something. I need to go fishing or something, and then they all dispersed. It was so sad. I felt sad for Chanel, but yeah, she is also my go to the week. Yeah, that was a sad episode for Chanel. Hopefully she finds something to hold on to so that she can flip the tables and hopefully get in on it sooner in the next episodes. Lastly, our purple of the week. Who is your purple of the week?
Lydia.
You got Lydia as your purple of the week. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it during the downs.
Yeah. It's
not,
like, yeah.
Not so much the purple of the week as the purple of the pre-merge.
Yeah. For me, actually, we've been talking about her being the purple of the pre-merge a lot. For me, it's still Lindsay. We're not seeing anything of her. She probably either she's getting the same treatment as Lydia, or she's not giving good confessionals. I
Or
don't
she's getting
know.
the same treatment as Erica. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Yeah. I was on. I was actually thinking that they might choose her to go to exile. I thought that they were going to choose her because yeah, I thought that they were going to choose her to go to exile, and then she'll come back with a vengeance just like Erica did. But no, she
Yeah.
still gets purpled. We still don't see anything of her. Right. I actually
You know,
have
if
here in
there
my
was,
notes. Are they purposely hiding her for a reason? Whether the reason is like
yeah.
what they did for Lydia or something else?
Yeah.
I really don't have an idea. But yeah, she's still being purple for this.
Surprise winners, siguro. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
I mean,
Surprise final three. Who knows?
if she had gone to the island, she might have been one of the people that she was probably um she would probably have to think more about whether or not to break the hourglass um because of her alliances.
No, but oh yeah, yeah, because mm, Jonathan and Marianne were, yeah, and Omar, right? Jonathan, Omar, and Marianne were in the group that won, right? The quasi
Yeah. Yeah.
merge, the reward challenge. Yeah, yeah.
So
And then
like
they took
if
her on. That's why all four of them, Taku Strong, were actually in that group of six,
yeah,
right?
so if anybody was going to like
Have a
keep
harder
it,
time.
yeah, because that's where the ano is, that's where the people that would protect her are. So
Yeah, and that's also probably why they decided to take her in, right?
hmm,
And send Roxroy instead. Only
yeah,
for Tori later on to say, you know what, we gave you that advantage.
good
Right.
TV.
Like that was what you really thought of. My God, yeah. So yeah, so that is our
And Omer was with Mike.
Omar was with Mike.
Sorry.
He was on the other side. Was he on the other side?
Yeah. Yeah, he
Oh.
was on the other side. So I just have it open here. It was
Okay.
Omer, Drea, Mike, Romeo, and um
Rocks.
Rockford was there. Romeo, Drea, and
Chanel.
Chanel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why like Lindsay probably would have had a more difficult decision than Roxroy.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
One of
Definitely.
those what could have been.
Yeah. Okay, now let's go to our predictions and thoughts for the upcoming episode or episodes. Hit us with your thoughts and predictions, man.
Well, obviously uh the Alliance of Eight is breaking up. That's or the Alliance of
Just
Seven is
as quickly as it was formed.
yeah, it's gone. The show is pretty much telling us that Tori and Chanel probably aren't winning.
Unless.
Unless they go on a crazy immunity run.
Yeah.
Um and maybe Roxroy, like he had his great moment already. So like they might be setting him up. But like it feels like the show is telling us that at least for this episode that those three are probably not going to win.
Mm. Yeah.
So I would think that the winner is going to be coming from that tribe
The
or
Alliance of Seven.
that Alliance of Seven. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Speaking of the
mean,
Alliance of Seven.
totally not a hot take.
Yeah, speaking of the Alliance of Seven, this is also not the hot take. Ross Troy seems to be like the bottom. He's number 7, I think. He didn't get the vote right. And he's behind by 2 days in terms of forging bonds with the rest of the team. So right now he's just riding on the coattails of Drea and Romeo. I don't know how he's gonna catch up. But speaking of Romeo, he's starting to scheme. Right? He's starting
Mhm.
to scheme. He was shown as the one who started, who put out the name of Jonathan
Yeah.
to get voted out. Right? So yeah, so he's starting to scheme. We didn't really quite see that. He was more of in the earlier episodes. It was more like he was trying to keep the peace. He didn't want anything to disturb their group, but he wasn't scheming. He
Yeah.
even had that moment where he talked about wanting to help Drea become a better version of herself, right? But now we're getting a sort of a tinge of a villainous twist with Romeo. So I'm
And high as well. And high as
and
well.
high, yeah,
We're
because
also
high
getting
is calculating, so it's easy
yeah.
for him. He going by the D&D alignments. I would say that he's on the neutral. So
Yeah,
whatever benefits him in terms of calculations and numbers, that's what he's gonna go for. Yeah.
yeah. I just
So
did it. Just like there was one. I remember one confessional with High that he got like sneaky villain music. Like
oh,
it stood out to me. Like, oh, that's that's pretty ominous, like villainy music that they gave
ooh,
High on that.
ooh. So we're probably seeing the origin story of the villain High, of
Yeah,
High the villain.
this is the heel turn.
Yeah, the heel turn. Martin will appreciate that, the heel turn of High. Yeah, and then I'm still waiting for the thing that you predicted way back when, that Marianne is going to make an emotional decision, and I think that she's close. I think that she's close to it. She's being portrayed as becoming increasingly irritated with Jonathan,
Yeah.
uh, and I think that that emotional decision is gonna come soon. It's probably gonna be used by Tori. Tori is probably gonna use that, her being emotional, to get the better of their Taku Four and break that alliance up even more.
Oh, this is like Darth Sidious, Darth Vader sort of vibes going on here.
Yeah. So yeah, that's those are my predictions and thoughts for the upcoming episodes.
Just
Yeah.
as a prediction on the side, all of the names that were brought up, right? Because like during the next time on Survivor, they just said a bunch of names. Is it? Is it?
Mm.
None of them. It's going to be none of them.
So you're sticking with your thought that the mid credits sequence is like the pre credits sequence is like just a red herring.
Red
Everything is
herring.
just a red herring there.
Even though that's been like not true, right?
Mm.
Because like they have featured the episode before Daniel was booted out. The next time on Survivor was giving us the impression that it was going to be Daniel,
Mm.
but like even though it's not true, I'm still going with that.
It's better to stick to your guns.
Yeah, this is what Stephen Colbert calls truthiness.
Truthiness.
Yeah,
Okay.
truthiness. It's not truth from the head; it's truth from the gut.
All right, Jao sticking to his truthiness. Okay, now let's go to our friend from another continent and listen to Martin's thoughts and predictions on Martin's thoughts. Good morning.
Martin.
Martin's thoughts with Martin. Martin. Yeah.
Next episode, I'm pretty sure another one of the green tribe's gonna go. It's Chanel. She survived this one, but obviously she's one of the targets aside from, Tori and for some reason, Marianne. But no, all signs point to Sanel, and it sucks that Lydia is gone, but still high on high. So hang in there, buddy. And that's it, guys. That's all I got for this episode. Please don't forget to subscribe here to Laro-Laro Lang Podcast, but also do not forget to subscribe to channel14.com and check out other shows there that include me and Zhao. And there are other episodes that include our friend Joel. So check it out. It's called Cast Garden, by the way, if you haven't heard. Bye-bye.
Martin's Thoughts with Martin. Martin. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Martin is really a Lydia fan.
He's calling it Chanel. He's calling
Chanel.
He's calling
He's
Chanel.
calling it.
Calling Chanel is the next boot. We should do that. Like
Who's the next boot?
Yeah, we should call the next boot.
Let's start it right now. Well, who's your next boot?
Tori.
Tori. You've got Tori as the next boot. Huh. Is it going to be an easy vote? If it's gonna be an easy vote, yes, I do think that Tori is heading out. If it's gonna be a hard vote, it's probably gonna be either Roxroy or Marianne or Jonathan. Either one of those three. If Omar isn't able to scramble the way that he did for this episode, Jonathan's on the way out. Yeah, of course it's sort of unfair that I'm giving like 3 names. But yeah, the easy boot is Tori. So yeah, I guess I'm sticking with that. It's gonna be Tori. So let's see if it's gonna be Tori. Martin has Chanel, Zhao, and I have Tori. Let's see who got it right for the next episode. Now, before we close the episode today, we haven't been able to do this in the past couple of episodes. I used to ask you, being a teacher of looking at the themes of visual arts, right? So, what can you say is the theme for this episode?
I've really got nothing. Got nothing for you.
The theme for this episode is big, emotional home.
Home. Oh, before we go, just a question. Like, I know that you are a fairly accomplished cook, right? You set up a burger place and all of that, right? How would you prepare?
Yeah.
How would you prepare 18 eggs, 9 slices of cheese, and grits?
What? 18 eggs, 9 slices of cheese.
Oh, that apparently that's what Jonathan eats, right?
Oh,
During the merge feast, he was like,
oh yeah, he did say that. 18 eggs. He probably eats them boiled. Because that's the healthiest way of eating it, right? Isn't it? Rather than frying them.
oh, yeah.
So boiled eggs, slices of cheese, just I don't know. I've never eaten grits, so I don't know if cheese goes with grits. But if it does, I would put it in the grits. I'd put cheese in the grits. Yeah, grits. I've seen it cooked on Top Chef. I still don't. I still have no idea what it would taste like. But yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Jonathan, and yeah, you did point this out. I think you pointed it out before. Like, the bigger people really need to eat more.
Yeah.
Right, because they lose energy faster. And that was one of the things that we were scared of for Jonathan, that he might not be able to sustain his dominance of the challenges. But with
Apparently
this,
that was one of them. Yeah.
yeah.
And apparently that was one of the big reasons that he didn't go to Flippy Hourglass Island.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, he said that because he would have wanted to, but he needed the food. I wonder how many burgers he ate. It seemed he like ate a lot. Right? Yeah, having just I just while I was watching that episode, I really wanted to get a burger. That's why as soon as fasting was done, I ordered myself a burger. What about you? How would you prepare 18 eggs, cheese, and grits?
A really big cheese omelet
A really big cheese omelet.
with
Oh,
grits on the side.
wow. Wow. Yeah, yeah.
I could
Mm,
seriously eat
I can
cheese
see that.
omelets the whole
But I
day.
wouldn't, yeah. Would you be able to eat that huge? That would be huge. That'd be like a pizza. No, bigger than a pizza, I would say.
Yeah,
Because
that's a.
yeah.
I'm not gonna eat it for like. It's gonna feed me for a week.
Yeah, man. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's how he prepares it. That's why you remember that challenge where he said it looks like a pizza. Maybe he eats those kinds of food. It's a pizza. It's a pizza of eggs and cheese and grits. I don't
Like
know. I don't know.
a huge cast iron pan. He just has like
Yeah.
scrambled eggs in there, tops it with some cheese and grits. Oh, I should try
Yeah.
that and call it the Jonathan.
The Jonathan. I wonder how because I don't know how what grits taste like, so I wouldn't know how that ends up tasting. But if you've got really salty cheese, anything is good with cheese. So yeah, let's we'll figure it out. I have to look for a recipe for grits. Try it out for myself. Okay, all right, and so that is it for this episode of the Council of Titos. We are finally at the merge. It was a quasi merge at the end, but at the start, but by the end of the episode, they are fully merged. And by the looks of it, we are in for a lot of surprises, a lot more surprises in the upcoming episodes for the second half of the season, literally the second half of the season, because they've been through 13 days. As always, if you liked our video, hit the like button so we don't get voted off the channel. Also consider hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon so you'll get notified whenever we come up with new content on the Laro-Laro Lang channel. This channel has other shows on focused on sports and other similar things. Anyway, this has been Chief Bisdak Joel Parcon.
Hey, and I'm big, emotional, and home. Ciao, Atienza.
We hope that you come home with us here on the Council of Titos again next time. Until then, stay safe, everyone. The Titos have spoken.